had already proven that we could traverse the Pacific. And actually, the M130 and the Boeing 314 were already in production, and those were coming up very, very close. I know that we re-inaugurated some of these routes in 1939. So I think that the S-42 was one of the more pivotal planes in sort of almost forcing the aviation industry to jump ahead to get that range. And it was on both sides of the Atlantic, really.
Okay.
Any idea how long we are into this dive?
That wasn't mine. It's Ed's. It's Ed's.
Sorry, Ed, what?
He was asking how long we are into this dive.
Into this dive?
How many hours are we into the dive?
Yeah.
Not sure.
Peyton have the dive report?
I have the... Yeah, let me take a look.
I have a start time somewhere.
Yeah, well...
It was 10:30 that first day.
I can look at when our first target was logged on that day, because that would have been...
UTC 924 on the 15th.
So... 16, 17...
Oh, okay.
I thought we started on Sunday. Oh, but it was Monday morning. Yeah,
78 hours.
Yeah.
Monday morning.
And 14 minutes or so.
And that doesn't include the dive
No.
that we started before that.
No, the survey length is longer than this dive.
Just under an hour and a half left in this watch. But those of you who are watching with us, go ahead and send us a question. Or two, or three, or four. We have the time to answer them.
Tell us a story.
There once was a man named Bobby Argus.
Do we want to go back to riddles?
If you have one.
I was going to say no.
Yeah, I was going to probably say no on that one, too.
I couldn't get to the key panel.
No.
Zoom in on the rock. There's nothing. There's not even biology on the rock.
We were talking about the clippers that have been lost. The Hawaii clipper was the first of the initial 3 long-range flying boats to be lost. And it was lost with its passengers, and many have conjectured that the fate of the Malaysian Airlines plane was the same as the Hawaii clipper, that perhaps it was hijacked, because no trace was ever found. They actually, a U.S. Army transport ship, the USAT MiGs, found an oil slick along the course of the lost aircraft, about 500 miles from Manila. And they took samples, and it turned out it wasn't from the plane. The oil samples were not from the plane.
How can you tell that? It's just a different type of oil?
They know the type of oil that was in the plane.
Huh.
It indicated it had no connection with the aircraft. It simply disappeared.
So what did the
Like, that doesn't.
theorists, the conspiracy theorists, think happened to the
This
the
is
Clipper?
the
It
one
was
that
taken by
has-
the Japanese,
Yeah.
perhaps.
And this is the one where somebody aboard supposedly had a suitcase full of cash. And like somebody had secret mission something.
Oh, on the Hawaii Clipper?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yep.
How do we know that somebody supposedly had a suitcase full of cash?
We know that there was a person on board who might have been
Like a spy?
No, historians think that there was a person on board who was going to pay somebody for something, like,
Like a middleman?
yeah. But I can't really remember right now. But yeah, somebody was taking money for some sort of clandestine deal.
Mm.
And it had something to do with international relations at the time.
Wow. Well, it disappeared with 6 passengers and 9 crew en route from Guam to Manila on
Had
July 28,
6
1938.
passengers
6
and 9
passengers
crew?
and 9 crew.
Wow.
Yeah.
Living in the lap of luxury there.
Boy. The Philippine Clipper crash of 1943 killed 19, and 23 were killed when the China Clipper crashed in 1945.
Hawaii Clipper was a Martin boat, was it?
Yes.
Yeah, the M130.
All these were Martin M130s.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
And I think
target-
they only built 3. So
the
that
target
was
looked the same as everything else
yeah.
we've seen. Yeah. Everything looks like a plane now.
Yeah, or a rock.
Yeah.
We just hope it's a plane.
I'm trying to will it into existence.
For our viewer who asked how the Samoan Islands formed, they were formed by volcanic activity over millions of years.
I think almost all of these Pacific Islands were that same.
Ring of fire.
Yeah.
Peyton, someone's asking how you're feeling. Is your cold going away?
Oh, I'm feeling better. My throat feels a little weird today. I think I just need some hot water.
You want some cough drops?
I actually have had a couple,
Okay.
but I appreciate it.
I have those good Ricola lemon ones if you need
Yeah,
some.
yeah, those are really nice. That's the ones I have. Yeah, I've been feeling a lot better the last few days, but just like a little tickle in my throat right now. So gonna sleep and have some tea.
The viewers care about you.
Thank you.
Well, we do too, but they do as well. It's a group effort.
I actually want to look more into the Samoan Island formation because I could see a lot of volcanoes or seamounts are formed by one of two processes, either subduction zones, and so that's where one plate subducts under another, and then the sediment that actually rests on top of the plate, it is able to then superheat into magma and then erupt. And the other way that that can happen is if there's a thin spot in the crust, it creates a hot spot, and then magma is able to form just underneath the surface and then erupt as well. And so that can happen in the middle of a plate, which is how like the Hawaiian Islands are formed. And so as the plate moves, the hot spot stays in the same location, and then more islands are formed as the rest drift over time.
Right, it's like Morse code through the crust.
Yeah.
So the Hawaiian Islands, is it the oldest, are in the northwest Hawaiian Islands.
Yeah, the oldest or the
Yeah.
smallest.
And
Yeah,
then
because they've had the longest
the
to
newest
erode.
one is the island of Hawaii. I've been all the way up that chain.
I've been
Extends
nowhere
like
on that chain.
1,000 miles beyond Kauai.
Have you been to any of the black sand beaches?
You can only go on the occupied islands of Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get up past Kauai, you're entering the Papahānau'onu Omukuakea Marine National Monument, and you can't go ashore without a special permit. And I was doing ROV work.
Are they doing that just to avoid invasive species and tourism damage?
It's a national monument. It's, I think the largest, and it's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's the largest protected area, I think, in the United States. It's
That's
massive.
correct.
It was doubled in size by President Obama.
More than doubled.
More than doubled.
It was only 50 nautical miles offshore from the northwestern Hawaiian Islands,
Yeah.
and then it was extended to the full U.S. EEZ. So of 200
And
nautical miles.
every time I'd been up there, we'd gotten this amazing briefing about the importance of the culture and ancient Hawaiians and blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then when I went up there with Nautilus, it was like lame. I had high hopes that you guys would have this amazing cultural briefing like
We
I
still had a
had
pretty
before.
decent
Yeah, it was all right.
cultural briefing. Yeah.
It was a PowerPoint. The one
Yeah.
I saw, the guy said, "Okay, it's time to get started," and then he clapped his hands and started chanting in Hawaiian.
Huh.
It was awesome.
Wow.
That's the way to start a briefing. And like loud, like he wanted the gods to hear him. It was awesome.
Right.
Well, the Polynesians settled Samoa 3,000 years ago.
Yeah.
It's
Fish.
five main islands and atolls, right?
Was it?
Yes.
Yeah. American Samoa.
Oh, that fish is escaping. So I did look into it a little bit. It seems like, so there's some theories about how the Samoan Islands are formed. Generally, it's believed that it's a hotspot. So what we talked about earlier, where there's an area of heat underneath the crust, and so, you know, keeps erupting over time, even as the plate moves. However, some of the other islands erupted, let's see. The volcanic islands and seamounts further away from the Samoa hotspot should be progressively older. However, Savaii, the most western of the Samoan island chain, and Tau Island, the most eastern of the Samoan islands, both erupted in the last century. So if it was a hotspot and it was drifting over time, there usually should only be like the western or the eastern island that's the most recent, but both of them erupted. And so that's apparently under further study.
Interesting.
I was surprised that the Canary Islands have black sand. I guess that must be volcanic too.
I have been to black sand beaches in Hawaii. I think on Kauai, Big Island.
I've never been to Hawaii.
I've been to one on
Big Island.
Maui and one on Big Island.
Been to Maui. I don't
There's
think
a
I
red
did.
sand beach on Maui, and I just
Yeah.
went to the green sand beach in Big Island. That was really cool.
Oh, where's that at?
He said the big island.
Let me think about where it is along the coast.
Kona
I think
side?
it's near the southern point.
Okay.
Yes, I believe. Yes. Really cool.
I know
Beach.
2 people who have just bought land in Hawaii. One of them a shipmate who's sailed here before, and another video colleague. One's bought land, the other's bought like the legitimate house and everything.
So we have a viewer asking how long have we spent shift-wise searching for the plane so far?
2.
2 days? 3
Too
days?
long.
Too long. It's been 4 days. So that's what? 32 hours?
We started midnight Sunday night.
Yeah. Yep. It's out here somewhere. It's coming to us.
We're gonna find
I
it.
totally believe. And then we are really good at working quick. The first visit to the Monterey A shipwreck was done by the Okeanos Explorer. We spent less than 4 hours at the wreck site, and I edited together the dive video from that. And that video got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views. It was featured on CNN's homepage. So it doesn't take long for us to do our magic. We just need the target first.
Yeah, we gotta find it first.
This is, well, maybe it's a good analogy. Sometimes wrecks, especially if they're prominent, you know those little things you would get as a novelty? That's a piece of plastic, it's rectangular, and there's long silver pins that go through it. They're not sharp, they're blunt on the end, and you can like push your hand in it. And by doing that, it pushes your hand through the other side and shows an imprint of your hand. That's a lot of times what something on the seafloor will look like. Like it's being pushed up, and you just see the relief of it.
Yeah.
Through. Here, let me show you. I was hoping a plane would have appeared right there.
That would have been
epic.
Equally impressive / freaky. Well, you should have just done that earlier, Ed.
I know. Why didn't you do that on Monday?
We've been waiting for days.
It's raining.
It's coming. Yeah, it's. Who just left? Rennie's gonna come back soaked.
No, it's raining?
Looks like it might be. It's hard to tell in the.
Oh yeah, it's raining.
In that aft camera, which we called cam wire, because it's an infrared camera, so any water that's sprayed up, like when we're underway, it's very hard, but I'm gonna say that looks like rain. Doesn't look that heavy, but we get some heavy rains here.
We got some heavy rain this side, didn't we?
That one I got trapped in when I was going to the bridge and back a couple times. I got drenched. My back was wet the rest of that day.
Ooh.
I've not spent enough time in daylight this leg. I've been trying to eat my meals outside to overcome that now. I have to go and look at my office. Maybe somebody shut one of the portals down there, because it seems like it's been dark lately too.
So we have a question about the sites we've marked and whether they look like a debris field, and we can't really say that. Dr. Megan, and correct me if I'm wrong, believes pretty much all of the ones that we've marked so far are probably rocks.
Yeah. Do they look like a debris field? No. Do they look like a bunch of rocks? Yes.
And then your second part of your question that you asked about, are they in line with how the plane would have sunk in the water? And that's, we don't know, because we don't know how it sank. We have that eyewitness account, but there's some questions as to what exactly happened in terms of the type of explosion and the accuracy of her claim, or I guess the interpretation of her claim that the plane was floating on the water, or the wings were floating on the water for a bit of time before going down. We don't know. Another good question that just came in about how many years in advance does the Nautilus plan for its expeditions? And it kind of depends on the expedition. This one, for example, the white paper was presented for it 5 years ago. And we couldn't have conducted the search until now because we were never close to Samoa until now. I guess we were relatively close last year with being in Hawaii. But it just kind of depends on the expedition and what is planned in terms of whoever wants to explore and what they want to explore. They put out a call for white papers, and those white papers get presented and then selected by the Ocean Exploration Trust to see which ones make the cut and which ones don't.
Does Nautilus ever go into, like, the Mediterranean?
That's where we started.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Spent, what, 4 years there? 3 years? Then we came across the Atlantic and were based out of Florida for a while. Worked the Atlantic, worked the Caribbean, worked the Gulf of Mexico. So we went from St. Pete to Tampa to
Gulfport and Galveston.
Gulfport. Did we go to Pascagoula?
If you did, it's not when I was on.
Galveston.
So we got on
went through the
Gulfport.
Panama Canal to our new home port in Los Angeles. Have worked marine sanctuaries off the west coast of the United States, up into Canada and serviced the Ocean Networks Canada Cabled Ocean Observatory. Have gone down into Mexico and into the Sea of Cortez.
Galapagos too.
And the Galapagos, thank you. And we've worked in Hawaii in the Papahānaumokuākea Marine National Monument. And the Clarion-Clipperton Fracture Zone, but south of Hawaii and California. And more targets this year than I could rattle off. Seems like each leg of the journey to get to here has had 3 or 4 areas that they visited. So Kingman, Palmyra, I'd have to call up my spreadsheet to
Jarvis.
list them. Jarvis, yeah. And who knows what the future holds. We usually don't announce our next year's season until pretty late.
Yeah, until April. When we all meet in Rhode Island.
Sometimes easier. I mean, we certainly have an idea and know
Yeah.
what the logistics of doing this are challenging. I think the last time I looked, we had between 120 and 140 participants that were responsible for their travel.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. Especially with all the
That's a lot
different
of
places.
forms, that's a lot of passports, that's a lot of clearances, visa, what have you. I think, good look. We have a lot of sea days. April or May through October. Non-stop. Those are all operational days.
Hmm. And this year started in the Great Lakes too. Just not with the Nautilus there.
Yeah. We were actually out. We do some work to get the systems ready before we take everything live. So we're out at sea before people see us out.
So if we went, what
What's-
you guys were saying before was we can map in a country's territorial waters if we have permission.
That's correct.
Have we done that often?
I'm not sure if I would use the word often, but we have done that, and we do seek that permission. And I think we also share those mapping products with the host country. But that's not really my domain, so I don't have a ton of information. Rennie might be able to speak to that.
Sorry, what was that?
When we are mapping in or going through the territorial waters of another country, do we often get permission and map in those waters?
Usually.
And
We usually do, yeah, because we share, the data becomes available. They either have to have a reason that we don't want to map, or just kind of red tape permitting, and you know.
It's like we're doing a favor to that country because we're saving them money.
Yeah, pretty much. Because we do make an effort to map areas that have not been mapped before.
All right, we've got an hour to find this plane.
Yep.
I think we're going to find it right there.
We'd find out pretty soon if we did then.
Yep. Because we're here.
Yeah, we've already passed it.
We've already
I
passed
guess
it
to
with the
catch up.
boat. Yep. Looking forward to seeing it.
Lots of blue.
Any other questions from our listeners?
We just got one
Oh,
about
great.
why the ship is named the Nautilus. And
Ooh,
Hayden, yeah.
Easy.
Hayden, you get to share this one.
There.
Sure.
Hayden, that's all you.
Part of it is based on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And the title, or the ship in that story, is called the Nautilus. It's this like futuristic exploration vessel, and so part of the inspiration comes from that.
And what's the other part?
Is there more to that than just?
No, I think that's the whole thing.
Okay, that's
the
whole thing?
Wondering,
All
That's
right.
100% of the part.
Yeah.
Nice.
A league is a mile, right? A nautical mile or something? 2 nautical miles? Anyway, I heard about that and I was like, wait, that doesn't even exist. And then I found out from somebody who actually read the book
Oh, yeah.
that
Well, Wait, you haven't read it?
No. Yeah, I know. There's a list.
There's a, yeah.
And it's because they traveled that
She's
distance,
getting to it.
not depth.
Right. They went 20,000 leagues
Mind
while they were under the sea
blown.
in
Yeah.
a magical vessel. And there's a rendering of that vessel on the plaque down in the lounge.
Mm-hmm.
A brass plaque. It was Captain Nemo's vessel.
So the practical depth that we can go to, it just kind of depends on which vehicle. Argus is rated to 6,000. Hercules is rated to 4,000. So we wouldn't send either vehicle beyond those, because that would lead to probably a whole host of problems we don't want to experience, and a whole lot of fixes we don't want to make.
Especially given that we have 4,400 meters of cable.
Yes.
Although, at some point, we were doing dives, might have been this year, where we only had like 8 wraps around the drum and the rest was bare metal. And I'd never done dives where I saw a bare metal drum before.
That's unsettling looking, sounding.
Let's see how close we are to this thing. Getting closer.
It took 2 hours to get Argus down to this depth. Why does it take so long?
We go down at 20 to 25 meters per minute. And why do we go that slow? That might be a Dan question.
So we don't break it?
Yeah.
Usually limited by Hercules descent or ascent speed.
Yeah, but with Argus only.
With Argus, yeah, we can winch out pretty fast, but I think it's just a matter of no, actually, I don't know. I was going to go down a path that doesn't make any sense. Summer.
I think it's just a function of the winch.
Is it winch happiness?
I think so. I mean, this is a new traction winch, so maybe the parameters are different. I don't.
Well, my thought was that maybe if you're paying out too fast, then heaves, at least as you're closer to the surface, would
right,
heave.
Snap loading?
Snap load, but
yeah, that would be bad.
High tension and.
But would that be true at depth as well?
Yeah, I mean, you're still pulling on the cable.
Yeah, so snap loading of the cable.
Unless we had a heave compensated winch,
right,
which would account for that. We do not. Yeah, I think it's just like winch happiness, temperatures, and cable happiness with the tension. Over to you, Dan.
Yeah.
Why are meters per? Why are we like limited to paying out at like 25 meters per minute? When
especially
we can go
on
faster?
an Argus only dive.
I said it was because, the cable, the tension on the cable, and the winch happiness. If it, we don't want to overdo it with the brake, and if it's too fast and it can't stop it, I don't really know the answer to that.
We're not limited to paying out 25 meters a minute.
So that's the answer, folks. We are not limited.
So, Argus on the way down without Hercules, what do you think the maximum speed you'd do on this in this system?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
It's okay. On this system, what do you think with Argus only? What's the maximum payout speed you would feel comfortable with?
It depends. Depends on the weather, how much wire you have out, what the weight is.
So if the heave was too much.
Yeah, what the vessel's doing.
Right.
In ideal conditions, though, I would feel comfortable pushing the winch to its maximum speed of 60 meters a minute.
Is that the winch max? 60
I believe so. Yeah.
meter.
It's probably
a second.
45-ish in reality on the Dynacon.
Ooh, let's talk about the brake system on this.
Talk about it.
That was mostly a question. So,
But, sorry, caveat to that, you'll probably never have ideal conditions on this vessel for that kind of speed.
Yeah. Oh, we've got a
Maybe
very sudden gust of...
maybe hauling in. I've pushed it to 45 hauling in. Just for a heartbeat, just to see if it would do it.
We have a sudden gust of wind from the east that is causing the ship to be unhappy.
Oh yeah.
Still can't hear you.
Was it raining outside? Didn't you just go out, Rennie?
It was.
Yeah,
it's
it
starting
looks
to spit. Yeah.
the cameras are getting wet.
So
Wonder if
maybe
there's
we're hitting a
another
little
front
squall.
pan,
Yeah.
little squall passing us.
Yeah,
Pegging our
he's changing the
RPMs.
heading right now to face into it a bit. That wind was pretty much nothing before. Let's see what that max gust was.
But we get a much cleaner picture from that now. Oh, where are we in relation to our...
To what?
We're just about to the plane. Or the point on the map I picked out is the plane.
Where's the point you picked out?
It's like that little draw right in there.
Oh. Sure.
Yeah, that really did come out of nowhere if you look at the graph of our wind. It's
What
kinda-
computer is that on?
Oh,
I just pulled it up on
I'm gonna take a peek.
HYP plan, HIPAC plan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, look at that. It was just completely 5 knots and then suddenly 20, 25.
Well, it looks like it's raining pretty hard out there based on that camera.
Yeah, we just entered the squall.
yeah,
you
it's
can see
definitely
the-
raining.
The back deck there.
Did you use the rain sensor?
Yeah, I did.
Now it's back down to 10, 8 knots.
This rainstorm measured as a yikes.
Mm. So is there, I mean, obviously as long as everything's working, we're good, but is there, assuming everything's working, is it fine to just continue keeping Argus and Hercules? There's no like maintenance that needs to be conducted
No,
every...
there's not like hourly or anything. If Hercules was down, there's a lot more systems on Hercules that have to be monitored,
Hydraulics.
including the compensators. And I don't think I've ever seen experienced a 3-day dive where we didn't A, accomplish all the dive objectives, or B, have some issue that required us to recover. But I don't keep like a log of dives or dive lengths. Oh my god, I can't imagine how many dives I've done. Figure 5 to 6 months a year, 10 years, 5 years of diving. There's lots more people out there who have more than me, but I've been really lucky because I got to do a whole bunch of ocean engineering work before I got into exploration and research.
It is cool. There's a lot more elements to ocean engineering than land engineering.
Yeah.
You have to take into account.
Zooming.
Go for it.
Rock, rock.
Yeah. This is the part on the map that was picked though, so
By you, so
yeah.
if anything, this should be spot on.
There's a rumor that the plane was here. I started it.
And
but
also there's going to
still,
be pizza for dinner every night.
looking for that drone. Come on.
So to answer some of the questions that are just coming in, we don't conduct manned expeditions. We just use our ROVs. Those are remotely operated vehicles, which there's no space or compartment for anyone to enter. And the reason why remotely operated vehicles or ROVs are so great is because you can minimize the risk to human life, because the bottom of the ocean is a inhospitable place, and you can also be down there for much longer. If you've ever been on a shoot at for
What's your wife do at the station?
she's a news director.
Oh, that's a big job.
Yep.
Yeah. Does she have a good assignment editor?
I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah.
I don't know who it
You
is.
don't know. That's an important thing.
Yep. WTOC. Savannah, Georgia.
Big market too.
Yeah, we were in Albany, Georgia before that.
I think where have I worked in Georgia? Well, 96 Olympics.
Atlanta.
Hotlanta.
I was staff for those Olympics.
I was living there.
Yeah. We could have met.
I know. Could have met before we did.
We could have.
I was
10
in
years
the
ago.
AT&T building behind the letters AT&T at the top of it.
You're right behind the letters?
Yeah. Yeah, a big concrete part. We were up in there. Had a media center up there.
Last time I was in Atlanta was just over a year ago. National Science Teacher Association had the national conference there.
Oh.
And I had won Georgia Science Teacher of the Year.
Wow.
Oh, congratulations.
Wow.
The whole
Nice.
state?
Yep.
That's
Wow.
impressive.
Awesome.
The whole year?
The whole year, yep.
In the same state?
Just the
that
day.
year?
Same states, yep. And I was there with a free entry, and I was the very first session. And it was the White House STEM director was there, giving a nice presentation.
Wow.
And my wife sent me a text saying I needed to come home immediately.
Oh.
And her, I forgot what week appointment, but her OBGYN said it was time for her to go to the hospital to have her daughter, our youngest. So I drove home the 3 or so plus hours, and our daughter Taylor was born on Pi Day, March 14th, 2018.
That's such a good birthday.
Science teacher, Pi Day.
Yep. I was my time teaching in the classroom. I was Georgia STEM Teacher of the Year and Georgia's
Is this the
Science Teacher of the
3.5-year-old?
Year. Nope. Taylor is 1, just over 1.
Oh man.
Is your other daughter happen to be born on Mole Day?
No. She was born October 27th.
All right.
She's still young. You can just tell her.
Yeah.
Right.
It's different.
I mean, that's like, because it's 10 to the 23rd.
It's pretty close.
4 days before. And then the second number is 2.6. No, it's 6.2. Okay, never mind. Chemistry.
If she would have been born a day earlier, she would have had the same birthday as my father-in-law, my grandfather, and our dog.
Wow.
Wow.
Karma.
Our daughter was born 2 days before my birthday.
Were you secretly hoping you had the same birthday?
Ah, it would have been cool.
Would have been way easier to remember.
Yeah. That's pretty easy to remember.
You don't get your own cake, though.
Yeah. I would have. It just would have had Barney on it.
You just splurge and get an extra big cake.
My grandson and son-in-law are born on the same day.
Ah.
What a great birthday present.
Yeah.
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 I have a son.
For those of you who have kids, did you find out their genders before, or did you wait?
My brother's expecting, and they're finding out the next time she goes in.
Are they going to do
We
one of
waited.
those, like,
We
reveal?
waited. It was a no. Oh,
Yeah.
no. Oh, no, 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 no. No. No.
No.
No. No.
No.
We didn't have that possibility then, and Scott was born in the middle of a monsoon in Thailand with
Oh,
no
wow.
I wouldn't
electricity.
expect any
No
other
electricity.
Yeah.
for you.
Field generator in the hospital.
Were you were your own midwife?
Almost.
Yeah, we didn't find out with our daughter either.
No pain medicine, you just bit down on a piece of leather and...
I swore at the curtains in the
Yeah.
operating room.
Back of a pedicab.
We had to trade vehicles for an Army Jeep because we had a little Volkswagen and the water was over the
Oh, yeah, they
the
float.
wheels. Right. We were going down the road and a couple of police with their rifles over their shoulders jumped in to get a ride. When they heard we were going to the hospital to have a baby, they jumped out.
Ah, no thanks.
They didn't want anything to do with it.
I like the part of Thai culture that's always kind of gregarious and gracious.
Yes, always bowing and
Yeah.
very,
Very
very
polite.
kind. Very
Yeah.
just kind.
Looks like the rain slacked off.
Yeah, quick squall. Wonder what the wind's back down to 8 knots.
Could have been wrong, but I felt that it was a little windy this past night.
Did we already go past this? Yeah, we did. Shoot.
What do you think of this target right up here, Dr. Megan? That crater-ish-y type
Yeah,
thing?
I like the crater around it,
Yeah.
but everything that we've seen
Looks like this.
looks like this, yeah, which is basically a rock that is stretched vertically.
Stretchy rock.
Stretchy rocks. With a couple of small stretchy rocks in front of it.
They keep looking like the vertical stabilizers on the tail to me.
So, Rennie, you thought these lines were about 4 hours each-ish? With the
Yeah, I
turn?
believe so.
And
We
how
got
many more
half
of them
hour
are there?
left, yeah. There are 5 more after this one. And then we have, that's the west survey.
So who gets which watch gets the holiday if we keep up this rate?
Hold on.
Well, we'll get the last one if
12
there's
to 4. 4 to
5
8.
more.
8 to 12. 12 to 4. 4 to 8. 8 to 12. We will.
We will in 2
But
days.
depending on where we are, though. Depends on where we are in it and how long it takes to get to that
Right, we might
holiday
just
line.
end up doing the transit over there, huh?
Well, we didn't even do a full, how long till the end of our line right
We
now?
will finish it right about the end of our watch.
Oh, we will? Okay.
Yeah, so we just had I think they're about a watch long, including a turn.
Are we still sloping down on the seafloor?
Yes, it's a little gentler of a slope than it was earlier,
Yes.
but we are getting deeper.
Random train of thought moment. But when you send styrofoam
Choo-choo.
cups down on Argus, it's not actually getting crushed by the pressure. It's just Bobby Argus putting them in his fists.
Squeezing them.
Right.
Is Bobby Argus a little bit like Chuck Norris?
Yeah.
I think if Bobby Argus and Chuck Norris got in a fight, very clearly Bobby Argus would win.
Oh.
Maybe Felix von Luckner is down there. Remember he could bend a coin,
Ooh.
rip phone books.
Is it very hard to rip a phone book?
It's technique.
No, it's the technique.
Oh.
Maybe not as much now
Yeah,
since
page by
there's
page.
not a lot of.
Right, yeah.
I
Can't
don't
find a
notice.
phone book anymore.
Oh, now I gotta think of where was this? What countries did we go to? New Zealand, I think. We saw phone booths.
Did you go in one and did it take
Well, they
you
didn't
to a
really have
different
an
time or dimension?
No, you're thinking of a TARDIS. Okay. They don't really have an in, and they didn't look like that traditional UK thing. They looked 1980-ish, half height.
It was all about the call collect and then say your name.
And then the other
Yeah.
person knew to hang up and call
Yeah.
you back.
Come pick me up.
I've been battling the robocallers, and I've recently put my phone into do not disturb mode, but I've told it to accept any calls or texts from any of my contacts, and I'm trying that out. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to change my voicemail to say, you've called an inmate at the Clallam Bay Correctional Facility. Let's see if that gets rid of them.
I think they just passed some legislation to help alleviate some of that. I don't know if it'll actually do anything.
All right. Well, the legislation, I think, was to enable or require the carriers to enact new technology that eliminates the ability to spoof phone numbers.
Oh, maybe not.
Well, crew of the Samoan Clipper, where are you?
If any Nautilus audience members know the exact lat and long coordinates of the Samoan Clipper, now would be the perfect time to chip in.
Yeah.
Please send those in, viewers.
That'd be quite helpful.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, light a candle. Who's the patron saint of lost items? Saint Anthony?
Yeah, St. Anthony.
Summer, I thought you said Bambi up there. I was like,
Saint
oh.
Bambi.
Yeah, that's his other name.
Oh.
The wingspan of the Smoke Clipper was 118 feet and 2 inches.
Yep.
Do you have any other facts about wingspans?
I think it was 15 feet wide.
15 feet wide.
What's the biggest
13.
bird's wingspan?
13 feet wide for our Samoan clipper
What's the?
of an albatross.
Yeah, that is the biggest? Is that
I
the
think that is the
largest
biggest.
wingspan?
Yeah.
Those things are
Hey.
massive. I want to say
9.5
6 feet across.
to 11 feet.
Whoa, that's
That's
huge.
pretty big.
Southern Royal Albatross.
9 to 11 feet.
Yep.
Wow,
Nice.
It's a big bird.
that's impressive.
They can just hover on the wind.
Oh,
I'm not sure I've ever seen an albatross in equatorial waters.
actually the wandering albatross has the largest known wingspan, at times reaching nearly 12 feet.
Hmm.
Wow.
When we were on shore before we left, the Samoan flying foxes, those are crazy.
Those are great. I think
Wingspan
they
about 3 feet.
terrify Summer, though.
They look like bats.
They are
Yep.
bats.
Oh, they are bats, flying foxes.
Yes, they're amazing.
Aren't they fruit bats?
I believe so.
Why are they flying around with their fruit bats?
They make a terrible noise at night.
They must have been eating insects if they're flying around at dusk, or at dusk, yeah.
Can they eat us? No?
You didn't see any?
I would
They're
assume
amazing.
not.
You assume not? But you don't know.
I have never personally observed a wandering albatross consuming a human.
Pterodactyl.
All right.
A little pterodactyl.
Just checking.
We get stellar jays where I live, and they always look pterodactylish.
Oh, I love the stellar jays. They're so pretty.
Yeah.
I hear they look stellar.
Every other year, 2 of them will nest in a tree in our backyard and have their, whatever you call baby stellar jays, starlings? I don't know.
Babies.
The babies
Offspring.
will end up coming out of the nest after a while and be in our backyard. So we keep our dog inside for that 2 or 3 week period, as the parents encourage them to hop up onto our bird bath and then up to the fence and then back into the tree, into the nest. And it takes them a while to master that skill. And then shortly after that, they're off.
The Samoan flying fox is mostly diurnal, making foraging expeditions in early mornings and late afternoons. And the diet consists mainly of fruit, but leaves, flowers, and nectar are also eaten. The
And
bat is also
Diurnal.
believed to
I
be
didn't know they were
monogamous,
yeah.
diurnal. Uh-huh.
and they have a territory of about 3 square kilometers. They have 1 baby a year, usually in May or June, and the juveniles begin to fly when they're about half the size of the adults, but may remain dependent on their mothers until 3/4 of their size. They're unfortunately near threatened.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, when I was reading yesterday, it seems like a bunch of islands have been having like culls of flying foxes. And also because they're islands, they're a lot more exposed to natural disasters like hurricanes, and so that can completely wipe out a population, or at least heavily decimate it.
So my wife and I have a theory that the stellar jays that nest in our backyard every once in a while are the same ones, because they
Could be.
they were a little skittish about us the first year, but now we can sit out back and eat a meal or whatever, and the babies will be on the ground, and they're 15, 20 feet away from us, and the parents seem to be chill.
Yeah, the birds do come back to the very same nest,
Huh.
nesting area.
Maybe it is the same pair.
Yeah.
We have a bird bath hooked up to our sprinkler system just for the birds.